Good afternoon, my dear students. My lecture is about relative pronouns, and this is, as we said previously, a part of Unit 14, that is on page 173. The relation between relative clause and relative pronoun. Relative pronouns, we have several relative pronouns: who, which, that, where, whom, whose, why, what, when. They are used to form a relative clause in a sentence, in a complex sentence. And here we have the relative pronouns, and each has its specific use in a sentence. A relative pronoun is used to connect a clause to a noun or a pronoun, as we said previously, to add information about the noun or pronoun in a sentence. Common relative pronouns are who, whom, whose, and which, and that. For examples, I like the girl who runs fast. Where is the? This is a complex sentence, and there are two clauses. I like the girl. This is the main clause. Independent clause. The dependent clause, who runs fast. This is a relative clause, who runs fast. Information, adding information to the girl. I like the dog that does tricks. That does tricks. This is a relative clause. I like the clock that chimes the hour. That chimes the hour about the clock. Here we have relative pronouns introduce relative clauses, previously said. A relative clause or a relative pronouns are a type of dependent or subordinate clause. So, a relative pronoun is a part of dependent or subordinate clause. When a sentence contains a subordinate clause, it is a complex sentence. A relative clause cannot stand alone as a sentence. That's why it is called dependent or subordinate. It is containing a subject or a verb, but simply does not make sense, complete sense, without the main clause, that is independent clause. So, relative pronouns take the place of nouns or pronouns, and they are called relative pronouns. Why relative pronouns? Because they always relate back to something or someone else, something before it. They are used to join two sentences about the same person or thing. And here we have some common relative pronouns and its main usage. And here we have example. This is important chart. Who? It is used to replace the subject pronouns I, she, he, we, they, etc. Example: this is the man who broke the window. Who broke the window? This is a relative clause, subordinate clause. dependent clause. Whose, to show possession or relationship. She knew the family whose house we bought. Whose house we bought. This is used to show possession. Who, to replace the object pronouns. Yes, versus subject pronouns, object pronouns. Me, him, her, us, and them. For example, they have found the lady whom they want to interview. The lady, object. The lady, object. That's why we use whom, not who. Which, clauses that begin with which are almost always non-restrictive. Later we shall talk about restrictive and non-restrictive types of relative clauses. My precious blue lamp, which was in the room. This is non-restrictive. Unnecessary, can be omitted, was broken. That, here, that is not used. Later we shall talk about that. That begin with, clauses begin with that are almost always restrictive. Restrictive, not non-restrictive. That's why we use that. The lamp that was in the room was broken. Information here unnecessary. We cannot drop because the clause is restrictive. Thank you for your attention.